Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Making of Smiling Company. I'm Ashley Joves, and I have with me today my lovely guest of honor again, Collin. I
Colin.
was waiting for you to intro.
Oh, I'm
That's cool.
enjoying myself. I'm just I'm just around.
Yeah, that's not true. Collin is Collin is I mean, you guys already see her everywhere, I'm sure, but Collin basically is leading everything that happens from a clinical perspective. And so she's the perfect person to be talking about what's actually getting done or not done at Smiling Co.
Yeah.
Um, but we like to start off our episodes with a this or that. And if you already listened to the LBD episode, I'm sorry, but we're going to start introducing this here to kick off, just to break the ice. So, Collin, let's play this or that. Netflix or Apple TV?
Netflix.
Running or bike?
Running.
Fall or summer?
Fall.
And movie or book?
Movie.
Movie. Yeah. I would say um Apple TV, bike, fall, and also movie. So Valentine's Day, I know we're gonna get into like the meat and potatoes since this is on the making of side, but I mean Valentine's Day was just yesterday, and still one of my favorite things to do of all time is to stay in. Like I don't know about you, but I over the years, I think because life has just been busy with the practices and the kids, that all I want to do now is not go anywhere and just curl up on the couch and
Mhm.
watch a movie. Are you the same way, Collin, or do you like love to go out?
No, 1,000%. I would rather be at home, pajamas on the sofa, like
With your
tired.
doggy?
Yeah.
I
Going
get
out is a lot of work.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but you are going out. Where are you going tomorrow?
We're going to Bryce Vine. Adrian and I are gonna go see Bryce Vine in concert at just a cute little venue in Sacramento. Standing room only, really, and I'm super excited. I like to go out for live music. Like that's my jam.
I I can't even tell you the last time I was at a concert.
Hudson with Hudson, was that the last time?
Shoot, oh my gosh, you're right. How do
Yeah.
you know that and not me? We took
I
our Yeah, you have
it's my job to know you.
you are so right. Colin runs my life. So Brian and we took our oldest son. So we're trying to make this a routine, where when they turn 10, they're going to get a solo trip with mom and dad. So our oldest is his name is Hudson. He turned 10. We brought him to Arizona because that just so happened to be the city where I was in for Spear for CE, and we took him to his first concert, and it was NF. I'm like, dang, my first concert was Montel Jordan.
You guys have like a theme going on, it seems like.
True. What was your concert? What your first concert?
Oh God, I think it was there was a radio station here in Sacramento back in the day that was basically like kind of alternative music, and they held like multiple bands, and I couldn't even tell you, like I want to say it was like Papa Roach, some like other kind of alternative rock bands that was at Arco Arena, which is where the Sacramento Kings
Oh,
used to play, like way
yeah.
back in the day. Doesn't even that arena doesn't even exist anymore, right? They tore it down.
They tore it down.
Um,
Funny, funny story that at the time Brian and I did not think it was so funny. So I don't know if you remember the Best of Both Worlds tour. It was Jay-Z and R. Kelly. Do you remember? They were
no,
doing
I don't, but I mean that sounds like a good one.
okay. So I think this was definitely before all of the pedophile charges. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I'm
back
sure.
when he was just making amazing music. So Jay-Z and R. Kelly, they had a world tour called Best of Both Worlds. And Brian and I, we were still at UC Davis. I think
Okay.
in the maybe 2004, 2004. That was so
Early
long ago.
2000s.
Early 2000s when Arco
Yeah.
Arena still existed. So tell me why we were so excited for this concert. And we get to the place, we get to Arco Arena, and I like to arrive early, but I didn't think it was that early. And Brian and I are like, where's everybody? Where are all the cars? And we we stroll up, and it's like there's still a parking attendant, and he basically looks at us and he's like, what are you guys doing here? And we're like, we're here for the Jay-Z R. Kelly concert. And he's like, how did you not know that concert was canceled? I mean, Brian and I look at each other. I'm like almost in tears. I'm like, we've been looking forward to this. I've never seen Jay-Z. And I don't even remember what it was. I think it was when all of his like sex allegations were coming to light and they
Oh,
canceled. Maybe that's what it was.
that's, I mean, but the early 2000s, like, yeah, we had cell phones, but social media wasn't really a thing. So
Right.
unless you were like, what, always checking your email for looking out for something like that, like, how would you know it was canceled?
Apparently, the entire world knew. Just
Except for you two.
Brian and myself. We were the only car there.
You guys were busy studying in college, so that's what it was.
No, so that just sorry for the tangent, guys. But now that we're caught up with some personal stuff, let's get into what's happening in our practices. So, um, I figured today, since we did like a broad overview last week of like where the offices stand with Delta, um, let's start with getting a little bit more tactical. So, let's see. Let's start with morning huddle. Do you want to
Okay.
talk about? Okay, so morning huddle, I think we touched upon it where um for the beginning of when Roseville opened, our second office opened, we were trying to implement a virtual huddle between the two practices just so that our two offices can still communicate. Like, this is the schedule and this is how things are going to happen. But with the tech issues and then not having the link and then microphones not working, it was eating up a lot of our morning time. And would you agree that like our 15-minute huddle was now becoming a 20-minute huddle?
Yeah, it was just taking up a lot of time, like you said, just getting connected in the first place. And I mean, we did it every morning, but there was always like some issue hearing or whatever. And I think it was good to know like what both offices were doing, but it was also a lot of really irrelevant stuff
Right. A
for
lot
each
of side
location.
conversations too that could have
Right.
been handled like off camera
Mm-hmm.
in that particular office. So after a couple months of doing that, we realized, you know what, that this isn't productive. It's not a good way of just handling the day. So now we're doing a just an in-person huddle. So Folsom meets on their own, and Roseville also convenes on their own at 7:45 in the morning. And we have the schedule. So we print the appointment book the day before. Or Colin, is it getting printed the day before or just the morning of?
Typically the day before, depending on kind of how the afternoon goes for the front office girls, they're trying to do it the day before.
Yeah. Okay. So the day before it gets printed, we have clipboards and pens. And we also are doing walkie checks, and we'll talk about that next. But everybody is taking notes during the huddle. So um, I noticed that before when we were doing our huddle, we have production goals, collection goals, all of those goals. And as soon as it gets relayed what the number is, it kind of just disappears. Like nobody really understands or like follows the number, I would say. So now I'm having the team just take notes during the huddle, where we're at now and where our goal is, so that it makes it more real. Like, and then the team is also, they're also notating who is on the schedule in hygiene, who has unscheduled treatment. Do you want to talk about that, Call?
Yeah, so just again, the day before, the front office girls are going through the schedule, like they normally do, to just get the route slips going and whatnot, and checking everyone's charts to make sure, the right things are scheduled for the day, x-rays or whatnot. And when they're going through, they're looking to see whoever has pending treatment that hasn't been scheduled yet, because those are the best opportunities to add production for your day. Like the patient's already in the chair. So we'll kind of map out, so and so has 2 pending fills. You're not in the middle of a prep at that same time, doc. So let's see if they want to stay for a little bit of time. They're already here. Figure out like which assistant and whatnot, and kind of how to spearhead that. And then you just have a game plan for the day, of where you can add same day treatment.
Yeah, it's been really helpful because we have everybody circle who in hygiene has unscheduled treatment. So at a glance, with their schedule all printed, if anybody has a circle around their name, then hygiene, like you said, hygiene can easily tee it up like, hey, Mr. Jones, if we have time in our schedule today to get this done for you, would you like us to accommodate that for you? And then she can radio up to the team and they can get the finances in order and just get a game plan going. So so that we're doing that in the beginning of the appointment, so that everyone kind of has a heads up. So we're
Right.
doing that. And then also anybody who has a balance on their family account, we have them write the $ next to the name too. So everybody knows to collect money. And one thing that you mentioned before, you mentioned the words route slip.
But yeah.
Can you talk, can you talk about what a route slip is and what that looks like in our offices?
Yeah, so each patient that has an appointment scheduled, each patient on the schedule gets a route slip, which basically has their name and information on it. It's got what they're scheduled for that day. It's got a place for you to write notes as far as whatever is seen during an exam, concerns, whatnot. And then at the end, it has all the information to do a pass off between the back to the front. So there's clear communication on what that patient had done for the day and what their next visit is. And there's no confusion of what they need to come back for. And then it also has the girls so the front office creates all these route slips and they go through, and that's where they're doing the chart audits for what the patients are scheduled for. They also will write whatever is owed for that day. And if, like you said, they have a balance on their account already, so it'll write that day, that scheduled appointments copay. So in case, like, the hygienist is walking the patient up front, the front office gal is tied up on the phone with a new patient, it's super easy for the hygienist to sit there and say, okay, Mr. Jones, you owe $35 for the fluoride today, and they can collect it themselves instead of having to try to go into the chart, figure out what they owe, what's it for. It just really makes the communication side a lot easier.
Yeah.
And the pass off's easier, and just, yeah, again, the communication between everyone, because there's so much going on all the time that the ball can easily get dropped. And I mean, from my perspective, I think that was really happening when we had a lot of transition in our office, which is why there is a lot of AR and whatnot right now, because the communication wasn't great or things were just slipping through the cracks. So now we're trying to clean all that up. And so hopefully this will eliminate some of that moving forward.
Yeah. Yes. And have you noticed that the route slips are all getting utilized to its fullest extent?
I think so. We created a new system. We used to keep them all in the back, and then it was kind of the assistant's job or the hygienist's job to grab it when they grab the patients. But now we're doing it where we keep them up front. When that patient checks in, the front office gals will attach it to a clipboard. When the assistant goes up front to grab that patient, they're grabbing that patient's clipboard. So they have it with them really from like the moment they walk through that door. It follows the patient to the back and then it's brought back up front after the appointment. I would say, occasionally things aren't perfect, but overall I would give the girls an A on it, and it's getting better. So we're really trying to, that's, I don't know if where we're going to talk about this, but just kind of going back to the basics of
Yeah.
things and not trying to overcomplicate it and just make it, this is the route slip. This is going to follow the patient. This is what the patient's scheduled for today. Confirm it all, make sure it's done correctly, bring the patient up with the route slip, write what the next visit's for. Yeah.
And I,
Like,
I'm glad you're talking about the handoff or the pass off or the transfer of trust. I mean, you guys hear this all the time, but it is so important for the team to be able to communicate between front and back. But I think most importantly, it is our ability to let the patient know exactly why it's important for them to return, like
yeah,
why they need to come back for their crown or their PTs or what have you. So I know that, especially with how busy things have gotten, and sometimes a patient walks up and they're kind of just dropped off
yeah.
and with no clear direction to our admin team, or I like to call them, I think I'm going to steal this from Katie Toe. She calls them their business team.
Okay.
The business team has no idea what to do with this patient who's standing
Right in
overlooking.
front of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've certainly had our fair share of not clear communication.
Yeah.
And we told the business team, like, if you don't get the information that you need to ensure that Mr. Jones has his next appointment scheduled, stop whoever is dropping off Mr. Jones and say, I need, before you go, like,
Yeah.
what is the next step? And so I'm glad that things are going well, because Colin is basically keeping like all the operations running and fulsome, since like most of the time Judy is in Roseville. Yeah.
Yeah. And to that point as well, it's just an accountability thing. When we were really busy too, not just, back to front, but back office to back office team member, the communication wasn't always getting relayed properly, and you're switching out an assistant, or assistants going in to switch out the hygienist, whatever. And there's an accountability there of, when that appointment's over for a patient, asking the doctor again, what's the next visit? So that's been a big one as well, because it's all treatment planned, and the doctor can say it real quick to the patient, but we're trying to do, like you mentioned, the patient hearing it multiple times. So it's the hygienist or the assistant's job to ask, okay, Dr. Ashley, for Mr. Jones, you mentioned the next visits, the upper right, these teeth. How much time do you need for that appointment is one of the big things. When do you want to see him back for this visit? And then we always also make sure that their recare appointment is scheduled. So that is one of those things that has to get relayed to the front. And like you mentioned, it's accountability. So the assistant's keeping the doctor accountable, or vice versa, the doctor keeping the assistant accountable, and then the business team keeping the back office accountable as well. And I mean, everyone just has to hold everyone accountable to it, because at the end of the day, like, chasing someone down for something is, it's so inefficient.
Right, right. And I think we have such a solid team in
Yeah.
place, and everybody just wants to do a good job, and
Yeah.
you can feel that. And so in other ways of improving communication in our offices, we've also implemented we've tried in the past, but now we're really doing it, the
Yeah.
walkie talkies. So, Colin, what does that look like for walkie talkies?
So everyone has a earpiece. We were trying to figure out between the two locations, just having these walkies and people ringing them back and forth, but that wasn't happening. So
No.
now no one has an assigned walkie. You just have your earpiece, one in Folsom, one in Roseville, stays there. Every morning during huddle, we're doing walkie checks. So you just have your walkie on, you have your earpiece, you're doing a check, can you hear me, whatnot, between everyone.
What
And that way it's just an easier communication between everyone in the office. So you're not having to get up from a patient to go ask a question.
Yeah. Which, I mean, in Folsom, I'm still pretty known for just yelling in the hallways for Colin usually to get me something. In Roseville, it is much harder to do that because our office is a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you seeing that the team is all keeping their walkies in?
I would say we're all trying really hard right now. There's still just some bugs you're trying to work out, or the walkie's not connecting right, or it wasn't charging right. Little things. It happens, but I would say we're on the right track for that right now.
What brand of walkies are we using? Because it's not a cheap brand.
They're not. They're a couple $100 each. We
Yeah.
had done the cheaper ones in the past. When I
Yep.
first started at Smile and Co, they were the cheaper, Amazon, eBay versions, but those really didn't work very well. They didn't last very long from what I remember.
Yeah.
I I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which. I have it all. I have everything written down. You know this. We can link it though if we need to.
Yeah. So if you want to,
Customer website, and they have really great customer service too. And if something's not working, they send you a new one.
I think it's called like Diamond, Black Diamond, or
Oh, yeah, you're so right. It is.
is
It's
it?
Black Diamond something.
Okay. And it's also just a brand that other industries are using, like hotel chains and
Mhm,
restaurants. So I figured if it's good enough for them with like hundreds of employees, it should be good for our small and mighty team. Um,
totally.
and outside of the walkies, we also started a WhatsApp group.
Hmm.
Like I had everybody download WhatsApp, and now we have just a way to check in with each other. And um, we didn't really have that before. I know that we were using a project management software called Basecamp. And in Basecamp, you have it's called Campfire. But honestly, having just an app that is dedicated just to talking is so much easier than logging on to Basecamp.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it to just be like random text messages to the team because then those can feel intrusive, I would say. So now it's been really cool to have the team just put in anything in there, like shout outs and this is what supplies we need, or just a heads up about this patient. So
Mhm. I
yeah.
think it's nice too, because text messages, like that thread or whatever could be 20 down depending on how many people you're messaging throughout the day. But here it's nice. It's just on the WhatsApp. There's different channels. There's like a general one for everybody in all the locations, basic stuff. There's one that's like more dedicated to Folsom. There's a Roseville one. Yumi and Judy have one that's separate. Yumi and Brian have one. So it's just nice. Yeah, it's just an easier way to keep everything.
Organized.
Yeah, I like it.
I love it.
Hmm.
And okay, so moving on from communication, I mean, it's just one of those things that it you get into a groove and you're trying to figure out expenses and finances. And then what broke this week, Colin?
Dear Lord, I don't think you even know all the things that have not been working properly for the last couple weeks.
I think you have you and Judy have been very good at shielding me from a lot of the the
Yeah.
stress it will cause me. But yeah, what broke this week?
Well, I'm gonna start with what broke before this week.
Oh shoot.
Um, but yeah, I really try not to involve you in that stuff unless it's like a high dollar amount. The Pro Wash for our 3D printer broke a few weeks ago, and I've been playing service tech. I want to say like half my days lately. We had the internet went down. I think we might have talked about that
Oh,
last
the
week too. The internet
storm,
went down
right.
from our storm and it was out for several days, which when 99% of your technology works off of Wi-Fi and things, trying to get everything reconnected was like a logistical nightmare. I was like calling a line, trying to get certain iteros back on track. Let's see, this week, we actually had several patients coming to Folsom for this reason because we only have one of these. It's the Pano CBCT machine and it's only in Folsom. And we had patients scheduled there on Monday and sure as shit, it wasn't working. Like the connection from the machine to the computer wasn't working. I was getting all these error messages. I'm online reading the manuals, trying to figure it out. I'm like, okay, let's restart the computer. That's always like my first thing, right? Turn on, turn off, plug in, unplug. And then the computer fried. I'm not really sure what happened, but the hard drive for that specific computer just died on us. So then I had the IT guy come out and tell us that we had to replace the computer and the hard drive, which was like, I don't know, over $1,000 just for that. And
1,500 bucks.
yeah, he he called, we have a Sirona Pano machine. And so he called Sirona to figure out like what those error messages meant. And basically we had to have someone from Patterson come out to recalibrate everything with the new computer. And for some reason, I don't know what was going wrong, but yeah, that hasn't been a cheap repair. Um, the autoclave in Roseville, when I stopped by on Tuesday. That wasn't working properly, so I had to
Well, it smelled like
finagle.
fire.
Yeah, so I knew what to do for that one because I've seen that problem in the past in other offices. But that was just another little thing. The 3D printer yesterday was having trouble. It's just like one thing after another right now. But I'm super stubborn and I will not call like a service tech or like IT unless I really can't figure it out.
It I love that about you because you're saving us so much money. Because I mean, you guys know anytime you call your rep for repair, it's
Yeah.
like 200 bucks an hour. And sometimes I won't name names, but sometimes these reps will come and have full blown conversations with the team members. So the team member isn't working, and the salesperson or the rep guy isn't working, but you're still getting billed for
Mhm.
the amount of time they're in your office. So I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, guys, we need to ignore this person when they come. He just needs to work.
Yeah.
it's
I
it's
always really try to find like multiple things wrong too when they come out without like, I don't know if I should admit this, without like scheduling them for that. But I'm like, I've got like a list and I'm like, okay, when they're here, ask them about this, ask them about that. Like, I want to make sure that everything is taken care of in one go because, yeah, it's expensive to get them out there in the first place.
It is so expensive, and
Yeah,
Folsom is only 6 years old, and things are just, I mean, we've always kind of had a shit show of tech issues in general. And yeah, it's just not fun having to pay for all of this.
all the repairs.
All the repairs.
Just maintenance really on some of these things.
Yeah. Speaking of maintenance, I mean, I want Folsom to get a glow up. I mean, you walk around and you can see there's like dings in the wall, like our air filters, they just need to get replaced. Um, just a touch up of paint. I
Yeah.
think. And I hate the floors in the off.
Yeah.
It is so I think this problem has been brought up in the group multiple times. Like, what are you guys seeing, like these black lines on the chair on the floors? Because we have LVP, and this was the first office that I built. And LVP that looks like wood is awesome in theory, but all of the grains of the LVP are what is attracting all the grime. And like you have to get on your hands and knees with a toothbrush and really like clean out all of those. And we knew that it was coming from the chairs. So Collin had ordered the, what is it, like the rollerblade wheels, like the clean
Yeah. Rollerblade wheels
wheels. I think
for the
it was
assistant and doctor chairs.
I think it was a little better, but I mean it's still gross.
It's just like, stuff gets dropped. Docs, you guys like to like your composite when you're expressing the first little bit, just throw it to the side. Like just junk gets on there. People track in mud and dirt, and
Yeah.
um those floors are like a literal nightmare.
They're um they're really gross.
I hate them so much.
Yeah. Yeah,
What was
so
the one rule I had for you for the second location?
does it have texture?
Yeah, the floors have to be textureless. Like if you're building an office, do not put that
Don't do it.
textured LVP on your floors. You will regret it.
You will
How many
regret
times have
it
you asked me, should we just replace them?
so
I think
many.
every time you're
I
there,
lost
you
count. Every time I'm there, I'm just like looking around. I'm like, okay, that just is not cute. Um, but just trying to add it to the list.
I
Um,
always tell you that. Like that's the least of your worries right now.
the least of the worries. What else are we? Oh, other things that I just bought for Roseville because Folsom already has these, but I never had iPads for Roseville. So I just got a couple iPads. And the goal with the iPad is, I mean, we take a lot of photography. Well, I take a lot of photography on my patients, and then just streamlining what the the system is from when the photo is taken to where it's going to get uploaded and how it's going to get uploaded. And we just started the wellness masterclass with Dr. Katie Toe, and we've had 2 sessions already. It's been amazing. And in her office, she has all of the patients, like every operatory is labeled. I'm sorry, every iPad is labeled to whatever operatory it is assigned to, as well as a camera card, as well as a media adapter, so that you can directly take the card and put it straight into the iPad. So she also says that on the iPad, it's running on one centralized account, so that if you take photos with one, you can now see it on all the different iPads. So I have that. I created an iCloud account that is running just all the patient photos. And then yesterday I set up Folsom's iPads to run on the same iCloud account. And I also discovered that those iPads apparently are connected to my personal iCloud account. So
Yeah.
I had no idea that any photo on my cell phone is viewable on the office iPad.
That's like terrifying.
Right? I'm like, holy shit, how did I never know this in 6 years?
I mean, thankfully, I don't think anyone knew that. So you were safe.
Well,
I've
yeah.
got you now.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I wiped those iPads. I had to do a full erase on all of that. Not that I take crazy photos, but just that was tens of thousands of photos
Yeah.
going back 2003, apparently. is when I started getting an iPhone or started to have an iPhone. So yeah. So honey, when you're listening to this, all of our photos that when we were first starting the
Oh
date,
man, they were so cute.
they were on the iPad. Yeah.
Real cute though.
So that's set in motion. Let's see what it looks like. I definitely need to do another like boot camp training on photographs in
Yeah.
general because I
Well, and
really
you say that's set in motion, but it hasn't been trained to
oh,
anyone
by
in the
set in
office.
motion, I just bought them and
You're
put in the iCloud
yeah,
account.
you're literally the only one that knows what exactly you're talking about right now.
No, yesterday I walked Andrea and Dr.
Okay,
Kayla
when you
with
came
the
to
process.
Roseville, you did that.
Yeah,
Ideally, I think at the next team meeting, which is in like 2 weeks,
yeah,
we'll do a whole training front, back, and really just do it all together because
yeah.
I don't know how this works. So
Well, you shouldn't know how it works either because you're moving away from that stuff, right?
yeah. But for
It's your
you'll
fault.
come to me and ask me.
That's true. Oh,
um, no, but it'll be good.
it'll be good. And speaking of really good, Colin emailed me a back office checklist. Do you want to talk about what that was that you created, or how long did it take you to do that?
Really, I mean, we had a lot of we've had thousands, I would say, of checklists for our office since I've been there. And there's a lot of change that happens. There's a lot of different things that we're trying to implement a lot of the times, and it makes it really difficult actually to get anything like truly implemented. And especially with two offices now and the teams going back and forth. And really, our team is brand new to our office. So I really wanted to not dumb things down, but go back to the basics. So I just took the real basic stuff and had it on this checklist. And I'm like, these are the things that just have to get done every day. And we're going to master these things. Like, I understand that there's a lot of things we could probably do different, especially now with two offices. But like at the moment, we just need to do the basics. So the route slips, these checklists that we're starting with, I'm not even going to implement like all sorts of other checklists. It's just really basic stuff
Yeah.
um, of literal like just day-to-day operations that has to get done. And I really just want to like take everyone back to the basics because we kind of threw everyone to the wolves and no one had like a simple start
Right.
onboarding. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
And we've tried to like change things a lot with the two offices, I think. And I'm kind of starting to realize that stuff was working before we had two locations. So
Mhm.
instead of trying to change it all for these two locations, just keep it back to what was working. And then as we go, we can kind of adjust as needed.
Right. Right. And so one of the books that I'm reading is How to Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I've talked about it on the pod, I think before, but I'm rereading it because he talks a lot about playbooks, having a playbook for everything that you do in your office. And when he says playbook, he doesn't just mean like okay like a written protocol like a checklist but an actual he's a big fan of having it in written but also having it in video format so um we I think in because we've had turnover and we had like a new set of team members like all around the same time it was okay let's just get them trained like ASAP. But if we had like just videos from
Yeah.
the beginning, we could have assigned to them like, hey, before your start date of February 19th, your assignment is to watch videos 1 through 20. This is how we do things in our office. So that is in the works. I say in the works a lot, but it will be in the works.
Yeah.
Just they already started recording some videos of just like a setup, and this is what we use for composite veneers, or this is how we do an office tour. And then my after I get those videos, or after the video gets recorded, and right now I think they're using either their own iPhone, or now that we have iPads, they can use an iPad. And I'm also looking at just getting, instead of needing somebody to hold the iPad or the recorder, just getting a stand, like almost one of those like selfie stands. You can prop up whatever device you're using, hit record, and as soon as that specific task is completed, we have a video on Dropbox that everybody has access to under training videos or Smile and Co playbook.
Yeah.
And then over time we can start to compile those different libraries, or compile those different videos into a library. And then I will have a video editor go in and or just an assistant in general go in and take the video and put it into like we were looking at Trainual, like it's an online manual where you can put all the written stuff, your checklist, and also embed the video itself into like one master playbook. So I can't wait for that to all be done.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, and just keeping it simple for
Yeah.
everyone, because at the end of the day, yeah, if you don't have like that simple foundation, it doesn't really matter what else is happening.
Right. Right. So we are I think this was a good episode of what we're actually doing in our offices. And if you are doing anything similar, or if you have tips and tricks on how to be more efficient, or what's working really well in your offices, or what's not working really well in your offices, we'd love to hear your thoughts and like bounce ideas off of each other, because this is a community and we're all just trying to help each other. So message us and come to our retreat. Collin, where are we throwing our retreat this year?
We are going to Vail, Colorado at the Four Seasons. I
Yeah.
actually just had a call yesterday with the AV guy from the Four Seasons. And he was like, oh, he's like, have you ever been to Vail in September? And I was like, no, I've never been to Vail at all. And he's like, September is my favorite time of year here.
Oh my
He
God.
said, it's so gorgeous. He's like, you're going to want to get outside and do fun things.
I'm
He's like,
really
yeah,
outdoorsy.
he's like, have your mornings for learning, but he's like, don't stay indoors the entire time. And I was like, I'm like, you've got us pegged, because that's exactly what we're planning on doing.
Yes. Yes. I'm so excited. You didn't even catch me up on that meeting. So thanks.
Yeah.
Just
You
having
should.
all the fun conversations. No, I can't wait. We were trying to get a site visit at some point together, because obviously we expect a very high level of execution for everything that we're doing with the retreat. If you've attended Napa and Sonoma, you know that we are bougie AF. And I mean, that's why it's at the Four Seasons. But not just that, we also want to just see where we can hang out, like what restaurants we can dine at, or and even throwing a what is it, like a scavenger hunt
Yes.
around Vale. So I'm not going to divulge too much, but it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be, obviously a very similar format, but we're implementing some different things this year that I'm super excited for.
Yeah,
And it's like in Vail. Who would have thought?
we are so bougie, and
Yeah.
it's going to be
September.
international too at some
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
September 19th through the 21st. It's also a Thursday to Saturday program. So
Yes. Yeah.
in September, there's really no reason for you not to be
No,
there.
we're going to give you a reason to not have a sucky September.
Yeah.
And your significant others are invited, which is why everybody loves to come, because it's a whole different beast and a whole different level of camaraderie and community. And you won't know until you experience it. So yeah, we hope you experience it with us.
We won an award. So,
I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Touche, Collin. Touche. You won an award. I forgot about that. All
Yeah.
right. So come to the retreat and hang out with us next week as we talk about what else we're doing in our offices. And then we can give you more of an update about how Delta is going too.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
just started.
Yeah. All right. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.